today. I think that's what this is called for Auburn. Opportunity to find playmakers on offense and defense, opportunity to fine-tune things before this brutal SEC schedule starts.
Yeah, normally, you'd have one more opportunity like this before the Iron Bowl, but the way the schedule sets up this year, you're exactly right. 8 straight SEC games from here on out. After this one for Auburn, they're going to close out the non-conference schedule today with Georgia State at 3 p.m. Central. And Jason, one of the things I'm most interested to see, much of the talk this week was on 2 different things, one on offense, one on defense. The pass rush and the pass defense kind of went hand in hand. And then the other side, the wide receivers. With that first note, for the pass rush and the defensive backs there in the secondary that struggled to contain Sean Clifford and those receivers, it doesn't seem like they're going to get a lot of opportunities with that today because Georgia State has run the ball 94 times over the last 2 games. Tell me a little bit about this option attack. It's not necessarily a triple option, but it is something that might provide some challenges for Auburn's defense today.
Yeah, it could be very similar to, when fans see it, it'll be very similar to Auburn 2013. A little bit big, kind of physical quarterback. But they'll run the zone read out of the shotgun, do some different things, quarterback, keep it a bunch. They got 3 or 4 different guys that'll touch the ball. If you're Auburn, if you don't get some pass attempts today, it's bad news because, if you get them in 3rd and long, they're going to have to throw the ball.
Right.
But this is very similar to 2013. Hey, get it first down, maybe take a deep shot along the way. You only completed 6 passes, but it was over 100 yards. So their yards per completion is pretty high, very similar to Auburn 2013. So, yeah, I think if you're Auburn, you got to do what you do. Force them into 3rd and long and make them have to throw the ball, and that should work in your favor.
On the flip side of that, with Auburn's wide receivers, that was one of the biggest question marks heading into the season. We saw some of the issues start to creep up in the Alabama State game, and then obviously they had a lot of problems with miscommunications and drops. Seems like, despite the big mistake there at the beginning of the second half with Kobe Hudson, he might have been Auburn's best receiver in that game. Do you expect to maybe see some of the guys get some burn down the depth chart today, like a guy like a Xavier Capers, a guy like Malcolm Johnson? And then I think an underrated storyline, you've talked about this a lot, is that Javarius Johnson is back. He was probably their most consistent receiver throughout the spring and the fall.
Yeah, I think you try to, again, we're talking about searching for playmakers. You got to find playmakers for this team, and Javarius Johnson being back. This passing game has not looked the same in weeks 2 and 3 as it did in week 1, and he was on the field doing a lot of those things. I think that's a big deal for Auburn. But you're right, Xavier Capers. Do we see more Malcolm Johnson? Do we see Tavares Dawson, a guy that was a playmaker in the preseason? Those are things I think you have to look for in this passing game. Continue to build on the tight end. Continue to build on throwing the ball to running backs, and so I think those are things you add on to. But yeah, they got to make some plays down the field at some point, and today will be a good start.
This is really the first opportunity, of course, for us to see what Brian Harsin does responding from a loss. But you and I talked about it a little bit this week. What he does in these tune-up games so far has been different than the way Gus Malzahn approached it. How much do you expect them, talking about the offense, Bo Nix had a pretty good game at Penn State, obviously. A few things didn't go Auburn's way because of the wide receivers. How much do you expect them to work on that passing game today versus just kind of running the running backs into the ground and run out the clock?
Yeah, I think you got to continue to do what you do, which is be balanced. You got to throw the football, and you're going to need that. And today's the day to work on it. Now, you're not going to throw the entire game plan and whole playbook out there against Georgia State unless you have to. It's a Georgia State team that has come in a situation like this before and had success. But I think if you're Auburn, you go, hey, look, let's go out here, run our offense, be clean, be crisp, execute, and do the things we need to do, and then go from there. But I don't think you come into this game thinking that we're going to run the ball 75 times, throw it 8, and come out here with a win. You got to improve today.
Like you said, Georgia State, they've done this before. Granted, Tennessee in 2019 when they went in there and upset them. I think a much worse team than Auburn's got today. And Auburn has only failed to cover the spread in a game against a Group of 5 opponent. The last time they did it was 2018 against Southern Miss. So just kind of fairly recently, they fared pretty well in these games. But Brian Harsin said it this week. He said, this is a damn good football team, and Auburn's got to come in and play a good game. Just in terms of how things shake out in the first half, when do you expect to maybe see the backups in, if at all, and kind of your prediction for the game, how you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I think it would take a really big first half. I think it would take one of those where we saw Georgia Vandy today to probably get through it. And this Georgia State team, they're probably better than Vandy, to be quite honest with you. So I think you're looking, if you can get a lead, get a comfortable spot to where you can put some guys in, I think that's the key. But yeah, in the first half, I don't know that we'll get to that at this point. If we do, then that means this first group on both sides of the ball has gone out and executed. Because to do that, it takes getting 3 and outs or getting turnovers on defense to get the ball back. Those are things that we saw one turnover last week against Penn State. It was basically a Hail Mary. And you go out and create some of those opportunities to get the ball back to your offense and capitalize. Do those things, maybe get a chance to get those guys in earlier. But I think it's a game that Auburn handles. They win comfortably. But, the interesting thing for me is going to be I think Auburn's going to have to play football. And Georgia State isn't very big. I think we're going to see 8, 9 guys blitzing, coming after Auburn, trying to force their hand a little bit. This is an opportunity to make some of those big plays in the passing game. So I think today could be a bigger day throwing the football than many people realize.
Yeah, something to monitor on the defensive side of the ball. It's very possible Auburn could be without both of its starting linebackers today. Owen Papo, we know he's got that lower body injury. We'll see how he goes. He's been limited in practice this week. And then they won't have Zacoby McClain in the first half. We'll see if he's able to play in the second half after that targeting call against Penn State. So good tune-up opportunity for Auburn today before they enter SEC play next weekend at LSU in Baton Rouge. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the pregame Blitz. For Jason Caldwell, I'm Nathan King. Be sure to check out Auburn Undercover throughout the game afterwards, and all into Sunday we'll have all kinds of coverage. So appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch up with y'all soon.
Appreciate it.